guy's coming in and he's not that guy, if he's going to be maybe a backup quarterbacks are obscure. They're not guys that's in the forefront. And so if you're a team, do you want a guy that's going to come in with all the celebrity, everything that comes with Shedeur?
Get out of Cleveland right now. 6 words that sounded less like a hot take and more like a flare fired into a midnight sky. And they came from Herm Edwards, the guy who's seen more careers rescued and wrecked than most front offices combined. You clicked because you've heard the whispers. Here's the confirmation in plain English. Herm said it about Shedeur Sanders. About a rookie who walked into the league polished, composed, and NFL ready, and who's now parked behind a quarterback the franchise can't afford to bench. That's not development. That's detention dressed up as patience. And if you think this is just another wait your turn, young fella story, stick around. We're going to open.
Was the slide seen round the world, round after round? All eyes were on Shedeur Sanders, whose name was never called until the 5th round of the NFL draft Saturday, when the Cleveland Browns made Sanders the second quarterback they drafted.
Open the file on Cleveland's quarterback graveyard, prying to the contract politics nobody in the building wants to admit out loud, and map the earthquake that hits the league the second Shedeur decides survival matters more than optics. Oh, and before the end, I'll tell you the exact moment the narrative usually flips on a kid like this. The one that comes before the headlines and after the damage that lets frame the stakes so there's no confusion. This isn't a referendum on Shedeur's maturity, work ethic, or readiness. Ask anyone who's watched him process a coverage and you'll hear the same thing. He sees it early, throws it on time, and rarely blinks. Calm feet, quiet eyes, manipulates safeties like a vet, not a tourist. Leaders follow him because the kid doesn't perform the role of quarterback. He inhabits it. The issue is structural, not
sinister about the league's internal dynamics and the pressure cooker environment that NFL decision makers operate within. The Browns had not one, but 2 meetings on draft day, specifically about Sanders, suggesting the kind of high-level consultation that occurs when league office guidance meets local franchise resistance. As pro football
not personal. Cleveland is tied to a fully guaranteed 5-year, $230 million monument to a decision they cannot publicly walk back without detonating their own brand. That contract isn't a deal, it's a fortress. And fortresses don't move because the new guy looks good in August. So we can dance around phrases like development plan and learn behind the veteran, but Herm's point cut's cleaner than a press release ever will. This is politics, not football. Here's the tease you came for. First, expectation versus reality. Expectation. A modern
functional franchises to become unlikely heroes in Sanders' story.
And I'm going to tell you, I spent a large amount of the last 24 hours thinking about nothing more than I was thinking about collusion. Because how in the hell does 32 teams in the National Football League pass on a quarterback that was universally recognized one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the country entering this draft, and 32 teams pass?
An NFL franchise recognizes its best player, leans into merit, and rides momentum. Reality. The Browns hear the chanting, see the practice tape, read the locker room, then look up at a contract clause and say, not yet. Second, the haunted history. Expectation. Each new quarterback arrives as a savior. Reality. Brady Quinn, Brandon Weeden, Deshaun Kaiser, Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield. Their names hang in the rafters like caution tape. Third, the exit ripple. Expectation. Rookies accept the ban.
Good to see you. Oh, we got well, we got to do some praising. Dion, she's mine. Hey, I enjoyed our little talk.
We will. I'm old enough to remember the last time we had an exciting quarterback follow the Cowboys when they came up. Have you guys gone through that scenario if there was an exciting quarterback like, say, Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders there at 12?
Yeah, well, we've got a major commitment with Dak, and so you weigh all of that. And but I was going to add to this whole conversation, it's very often that somebody will step up and say, now we got this guy right here, we've got him, and we just signed him under contract.
Inch tax until their time arrives. Reality. If Shedeur chooses himself and asks out, half the league starts dialing before the ink dries, and Cleveland becomes the meme it's been trying to outrun for 20 years. Those are the loops. We'll close each one, but hold that thought. Let's start where the pattern is loudest, because it's the second best point and it sets the mood. Cleveland eats quarterbacks. Not literally, but spiritually. The cycle is always the same. The city sells hope like it's bottled water. The front office announces a vision. The coach talks about identity. And the young quarterback gets drafted into a hurricane they call culture. Early flashes fuel belief. Then the system wobbles. The messaging turns cautious. And the kid's development becomes an experiment in crisis management. The locker room fractures. The fans.
It's a wall going on for the community, for the kids. Be able to go out there, throw the football, connect with them. We have a lot of fun things supposed to be there. We're doing it for the people. We're not gaining anything out of it. It's all coming out, my own pockets for real. So it's like, I don't gain, anything. It's more about connecting with the kids and everything like that. That's what brings me happiness.
And base splits. The media hovers and the franchise, desperate for a clean narrative, chooses a scapegoat over a solution. You've watched this movie. It's edited with jump cuts, promising drives, sudden interceptions, headset shots, sideline shrugs. The credits roll with a new press conference and the same promises. Different actor, same script. That's the context. Now the application. Drop Shedeur into that environment, and you can almost hear the gears grind. He's not a fixer for chaos. He's a multiplier for competence. He needs a runway, not a minefield. He needs the normal pressure of NFL Sundays, not the abnormal pressure of carrying a civic therapy session. You don't sharpen a scalpel by smashing it against a brick. You place it in skilled hands and let it work. Here's the framing that stings. The Browns aren't bad at drafting promise. They're bad at protecting it. And if that stings, it should. Because in football, protection isn't a slogan. It's a sequence of grown-up decisions repeated under stress. Expectation versus reality. Round 1. Cleveland expects history to forget itself when the jersey number changes. Reality says history remembers addresses. Now the strongest point, the one that makes Herm's 6 words feel like a lifeline rather than a lecture. Politics. Not the flag-waving kind, the corporate kind. The who admits what, when kind. A fully guaranteed $230 million contract that links executive credibility, coach stability, and brand messaging in one unbreakable chain. You can say open competition all you want, but when a team binds itself to a deal that expensive, the competition isn't on the field, it's in the mirror. Benching that contract isn't a football decision, it's an organizational confession. So the room is already tilted before Shedeur takes a snap in anger. If the veteran is merely average, playing him preserves face. If he's shaky, playing him is a show of stability. If he's outright struggling, playing him becomes a referendum on patience. Notice what's missing from every one of those outcomes. The merit of the kid who might be better today. Application. Waiting behind a contract isn't learning, it's lingering. There's a difference between apprenticing and idling. Apprenticing is when the mentor is actively transferring wisdom and the environment aligns with growth. Idling is when the key is in the ignition and nobody's allowed to shift into drive because the parking brake is a press release. Framing. The league doesn't pause to respect your sunk cost. It rewards teams that make the hard pivot on time. The Chiefs did it when they moved off Alex Smith from Mahomes. Yes, different personalities, different contexts, but the principle stands. When your future arrives early, you honor it or you watch someone else do it for you. Let's talk about the nightmare Herm was pointing at, because it's not theatrical, it's procedural. It starts quietly. Practice reps get rationed. Praise gets coded. Love the kid, but he's got things to learn. Then the offense sputters, the defense drags, the post-game quotes harden around cliches. We'll look at the tape. Fans chant the rookie's name because they can sense energy even when the scoreboard lies. And then the leak. One anonymous voice in a notebook, not sure he's ready. That's the first brushstroke of a portrait nobody asked for. It repeats. It calcifies. By the time the kid finally plays, he's not playing to learn. He's playing to disprove a whisper campaign. You don't develop quarterbacks by handing them a defamation trial on 3rd and 8. Flip it. Imagine the counterfactual that makes executives reach for antacids. The email blinks into inboxes on a gray Cleveland morning. Shedeur Sanders has requested a trade. Not because he's afraid of competition, not because he wants to skip steps, but because he understands windows and refuses to spend his in a waiting room with the lights off. Talk radio cooks. Hashtags erupt. Jerseys get relabeled with tape and a permanent marker. The franchise issues a dignified statement about dialogue. The truth slips out anyway. He looked at the blueprint and didn't see a house. He he saw a cul-de-sac. Now the application across the league, because this isn't just a Browns problem, it's a market event. The Raiders call first because Las Vegas sells spectacle, and Shedeur is built for bright lights with football substance. The Falcons call because Atlanta remembers what Prime meant to the city and understands momentum like an art form. The Cowboys hover because Jerry loves a dynasty surname almost as much as he loves a television camera. The Patriots knock softly, craving identity with a quarterback who can command a huddle and a headline. The Dolphins ask questions because insurance policies in South Beach aren't just for hurricanes. And that's just the public list. Quietly, half the league runs scenarios because a rookie who processes like a vet and sells tickets like a headliner doesn't come available. He escapes. He thrives. The message to every young star gets rewritten in real time. Loyalty is noble, but survival is non-negotiable. Expectation versus reality. Round 2. Expectation. A good soldier waits, earns respect, and is rewarded on schedule. Reality. Schedules in the NFL are fiction printed on glossy paper. Coaches change. Coordinators shuffle. Philosophies pivot. The only schedule that actually exists is the one you create by playing well and often. That's not selfish. That's professional. Let's loop back to Herm, because credibility matters. This isn't a YouTuber throwing a grenade for clicks. Herm's been in locker rooms when narratives turn sideways. He's watched ownership try to justify a checkbook while a promising kid watched his timeline evaporate. When he says get out, it's not a taunt at Cleveland. It's triage for Shedeur.